Thank you very much, Professor Hashia. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good afternoon to all of you from the Institute of Objective Studies here in New Delhi. Alhamdulillah, Institute has published an edited volume on the life and contribution of Professor Mohammad Nejatullah Siddiqi, Rahmatullah alayh, in the field of Islamic economics and finance. Just a year ago, this was conceived by one of the Professor Siddiqi's disciple and colleague, Dr. Muhammad Manzoor Alam, the chairman of the Institute of Objective Studies. I'm grateful that he has also contributed a valuable forward for this volume. In fact, Dr. Manzoor Alam visualized an international seminar a year ago with the basic aim to focus on Professor Siddiqi's contribution in the discipline of Islamic economics, which turned out to be a very successful event for the Institute. We knew that scholars, professional economists, young researchers, and students of the Islamic economics worldwide were eager to hear about legacy of one of the most influential Muslim social scientists and economists of post-independent India, and one of the intellectual pillars of the Jamaat-e-Islami Hind. We are all now familiar with the Professor Siddiqi's theorized convincingly for the first time in mid-1960s that equity routes of banking and investments without interest is possible. The papers included in this volume have been divided into three broad sections. Part 1 includes the papers on the teaching and research in Islamic economics and Maqasid-e-Sharia, while the last part includes the discussion on Islamic banking and finance issues with greater focus on his book, Banking Without Interest. And here, his initiatives and efforts with regard to the application of Islamic finance in the Indian context are also included. In this volume, contributors' papers have been arranged covering his early academic life in Aligarh Muslim University, especially his close research scholars have contributed on that aspect of his personal life. Secondly, contributors include professional economists and Professor Siddiqi's colleague at various international universities and research centers, and also those in India with whom Professor Siddiqi was in regular contact. These all together, I believe, present in this volume a worthwhile reading material for understanding this great scholar. This also marks his modesty, humility, not bringing in his arguments or in his talk any kinds of emotion at all. If one goes through his collection of papers or the letters published 25 years ago, in the year 2000, I think, one can sense the evolutionary process of his academic life. One can realize how he planned the way he started his academic journey from the high school onwards. His ideas, his arguments on Islamic economics and finance are so relevant and convincing, especially when we read now in his absence. His dream was to educate young researchers and madrasa students. I remember when I first met Professor Siddiqi in 1975 at the economics department of Aligarh Muslim University. I was a graduate student, and he slipped me on a notepad Paul Smilson's famous book, Economics, and told me that go and first read this, and after that we can talk about Islamic economics. This shows how meticulous he was, how he was interested to train the young scholars to know first the basic theoretical development in this area before discussing anything about Islamic economics. And he followed that throughout his life. We hope this volume may help enhance further exploration of Professor Nejatullah Siddiqi as an Islamic economist, his interpretation of Maqasid al-Sharia in the socio-economic context of 21st century. However, his collection of letters and his recent Urdu writing needs to be further explored, which could not become the part of this volume. I also think that his contribution in the establishment of Institute of Objective Studies and the Indian Center for Islamic Finance in India needs a separate study. For the last 4 decades, Institute of Objective Studies has been engaged in promoting his ideas to the scholars in the Indian universities and among the madrasa students through his ongoing conferences, seminar, and publication of books and journals in this area. Finally, my heartfelt thanks to all the contributors of this book. I think this volume is a tribute from the IUS in honoring the late Professor Muhammad Nejatullah Siddiqi's contribution in the field of Islamic economics and finance. Thank you very much to all of you.